Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of MovieByte podcast. I am your host, Ruben, and with me, The Russian.
Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to talk and to spend quality time with you about something we really enjoy, that is movies, and we try to deliver the easiest explanation, a little bit of history, a little bit of the details about how this was made, who was the part of it, and what it became, and how it evolved over time, and what kind of projects came afterwards, and what was the influences of that movie. So welcome to Movie Digest, Movie Bite. We're talking about
we're going to talk about M. Night Shyamalan's 2002 movie Signs, starring Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix.
They also brought two future stars, Rory Culkin, who plays the son, Morgan.
Yep.
And then they brought, I believe that was Abigail Breslin first movie. That came before this Little Miss Sunshine, right?
Yes. Signs was Abigail Breslin's film debut. So this is the first movie that she made.
And it was phenomenal performance from all four of them. I mean, I think the props will go to everybody. We will discuss why we think that way and what contributed to that factor. The movie was made in 2001 and was released in 2003.
2002.
2002, sorry. Yeah. I think I watched it in 2003, though. $72 million budget. It was... I think it was a bigger step forward for M. Night Shyamalan. He was given a lot more production money, and it grossed $428 million, if I'm not mistaken,
which
worldwide.
Is M. Night Shyamalan's second highest grossing film to date.
Was The Sixth Sense his first, I want to guess?
Yeah, The Sixth Sense made about $600 million in the box office. So that continues to this day his highest grossing film.
That was an outstanding debut. He did make a movie before that. I'm not gonna name the name of it now. It was I believe in 1997.
It was called Wide Awake. It was filmed in 1995, but it didn't get released till 1998 when it found a distributor. And it's like a coming of age family drama with Rosie O'Donnell and Joseph Cross. Later starred in TV shows and so on, but it was a very underperforming movie. Didn't do that well. I believe
they had a big budget for that one too, and it kind of
it underperformed. So it's in the forgotten world of movies from him. So The Sixth Sense was the movie that really launched him and introduced movie viewers to this twist style of his. Have a twist ending. The ending is not what you expected, and it became a trademark in all of his following movies.
And you know what? I think it also became his downfall because everybody went to see that movie for the twist. They expected to be shocked at the end, and over time it kind of fell off. Like you see Sixth Sense, and obviously the ending just shocking. I'm not gonna spoil it if you haven't. I mean, it's a 25.
I mean, at this point, if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense, you're in deep trouble.
Unbreakable had the same concept. At the end, it was like, wow, that all comes down. Signs, I think that's one of the things that people were expecting, and there's a twist at the end, but it's not as gut wrenching like punch.
I agree.
And obviously, The Village was a letdown. Although I still gonna argue that was still kind of a decent movie. It was something that I can play it at some point, and don't.
I was disappointed with that movie.
A lot of people were, but then I dragged one of my best friends to Lady in the Water. And it was four of us in a movie theater, and he never forgave me for that. There's, my stories tend to be like I take people to movie theaters, and they tell me that they're never gonna go to the movie theaters with me again.
Yeah, Lady in the Water was horrible.
Lady in the Water, and then we have The Happening,
another horrible movie.
Right, and the funny part here, and I'm gonna give a little bit insight for the signs. A lot of stuff in original design was meant to be CGI. They're gonna do the crops, the circles in CGI. They're gonna do obviously the alien in CGI. They tend to fade away from that concept, and a lot of stuff been either done with using like real actors as a stand-in for the alien, and then obviously they did a little bit of CGI. The crops were actually done by hand, so they used the fields in Pennsylvania, and they actually that was I can't name the university, but it was some outside the university, so they planted all these cornfields to kind of raise them up, and I'm pretty sure that Nolan saw it and was like, I'm using that for Interstellar. It looks magnificent, it sounds amazing, it gives that sense of scare and just, I don't know, something about the crops. It's tall grass. It gives me an anxiety of the same way to be in the water and seeing like the shark fin. Here I'm in a crops field, and I see the leg of the alien in the back. I think that was one of the very scary moments. So and that my point is that all that being said, and it worked so well for this movie, and then he goes and does Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's he was not ready technologically, and then he tried to come back with another Earth by using again ton of
After
CGI. After Earth, sorry, another Earth.
Yeah.
That's
a different movie.
That's
but
a different
After
movie.
Earth with Will Smith and Jada
Thank
Smith.
you, Ruben. That's why I need you to correct my mistakes.
I got you.
Thank you. So to me, it was just not logical step of choices and events what led to him, and then he had to like sit back and
he took a break from After Earth, and then he came after that. He produced a couple of movies. He did Devil, which was, I think, based on a story of his, and he produced it. He didn't direct it, but that was a really good movie. I don't know if I've ever seen
budget,
Devil.
Yeah,
low budget movie. Yeah, it's five
stuck
six
in the
people
elevator.
trapped in an elevator, and one of them is the devil. Then he did The Visit, which turned out to be a very low budget, profitable, very successful horror movie with a nice twist as well. And then he released Split, that pretty much brought him back to his roots. And Split was amazing.
Do I say her name right? Anya
Taylor-Joy, something like that is her name. Yeah.
We're not gonna butcher that name.
Yeah, from Queen's Gambit. For those who have seen Queen's Gambit, that's her.
Yeah.
And then after Split, he incorporated Bruce Willis' character into the movie as a cameo appearance, just to connect the Unbreakable storyline with this. And then he wrote Glass, which kind of received mixed reviews, and it performed okay in the box office. And after that, that's the latest work that he did. I think he is currently working on a project right now. And
he's produced The Servant.
Yes, he has the Servant TV show on Apple TV Plus. For those who haven't seen it, it's a really good show. It also has a lot of elements of twist endings and plot twists and everything. So it's a really good show.
You have that style of kind of nothing happening, but you are glued to your seat, which in Signs, that's what works for me, at least. I'm not the guy who's gonna go and watch a scary movie. You know me well, and
me neither.
Something like It or movies. Something like Conjuring, something with those scares. That's not my cup of tea. If I have to watch it, I will watch it with the lights on and during the daylight. And if I hear that music coming up and there's going to be somebody jumping in some face of the
and it's so funny because I went to see this movie in theaters, and I wasn't expecting the type of movie I ended up seeing. I didn't expect it to be. I mean, it's not fair to call it a horror movie, but the elements of horror are in it, because I was expecting a sci-fi movie, and this movie, I shit my pants when I saw this movie in theaters.
It
Like
has
the,
it has few
yeah.
moments where you don't expect it,
Hmm.
and there's no build up to it, and when you see it, it's like whoa, like
Yep.
the jump scares are so
And,
well done,
hmm.
and I don't know if it was intentional, unintentional. I'm pretty sure he had some kind of idea what
I'm
he
sure
wanted to
he did.
accomplish.
Yeah.
But they come out, and just from the few that I can remember, when you first see that
The alien in
silhouette,
the barn outside the window.
right
Yeah.
on a when she comes in and says, "There's a monster outside of my
Yep.
room. Can I have a
Hmm.
glass of water?" And that's
Yep.
another thing. Like the comedic elements in this movie work so well.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Joaquin Phoenix on
Joaquin
point.
Phoenix, right? So you're telling me if there wasn't the
A
Swedish Olympic
Scandinavian. Yeah.
Scandinavian, yeah,
Like he
joke,
delivers those jokes really perfectly, and like in the like you're all tensed up, and then you have Joaquin Phoenix character to like let me throw a little joke so you can like relax.
right? And even Mel Gibson, when they go outside and they're supposed to scare the
Yeah.
neighbor who is trying, he's like, "You want me to curse?" And it's like I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, it did not work for me," and it's fine. Like it, if every movie works for everybody, why bother, right?
Yeah.
So and I can tell you that it did not work in a lot of other movies, and we just discussed it. It did not came through, but when it works, it works. And in this one, I'm I'm gonna say, in my opinion, it was very well made. It was very well shot. It was very well edited and presented. Um, so to the characters, right? So we got Nelson, who is playing Father Graham Hess, and he's the guy who lost his faith. He used to be a father. I'm not sure which congregation he's a part because
It plays out as Episcopalian are the ones are can practice the religion and be married.
okay, so he loses his faith as
Hmm.
we kind of learn through the movie that he lost it because his wife was taken away. She was walking home before the dinner and was hit by not the drunk driver, but somebody who fell asleep behind the wheel. Can happen to all of us. So if you're tired, please do not get behind the wheel because this is the story tale of caution. And then he has his brother, who's played by Joaquin Phoenix. We already gave him all the credit he needs to have for the next 10 episodes of Movie Bites
Yeah.
during our podcast about the Joker. So we're kind of going to skip him. And then he has two kids, Bo and
Morgan.
Morgan is played by Rory Culkin, and who's obviously the brother of Macaulay Culkin, who's known for his Home Alone shenanigans.
Yep.
Fortunately for his brother, I believe that was the one and done. I mean, he tried to act after Home Alone, but that was not successful career for him. But Rory,
You talking about Macaulay Culkin?
yeah,
Bro, Macaulay Culkin made like a bunch of movies in the 90s.
he did. But I'm just saying that was what. Okay, to me, that's what he always going to be
It's
remembered.
because in Russia they only made Home Alone 1. Doesn't mean that he didn't make movies in the US.
All right. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, like the career from my perspective of Rory Culkin was a lot more successful.
Yeah, I mean, and don't forget, and this is sidetracked, but Kieran Culkin also is related. This is their other brother, and he was in Home Alone 1 and 2. He played his cousin, who wets the bed, Fuller. And then he went on to play Scott Pilgrim's best friend.
Which is fantastic what she just did, because I love the setup of the movie, and I love how we get to learn about what's going on in the world. Like everything about the aliens that we get to know is from the media. Every single TV broadcast is saying, hey, listen, this is what's happening in the world. This is how we are going to translate this event. And for these guys, they just sitting in their house, right? And all they have is they just witnessed that their crops were created into this circle pattern, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. At first, they think that it's a hoax. First, they think that it's neighborhood kids who are playing around and trying to, I don't know, draw attention to them. So that's how kind of this story starts. There are few key elements which was magnificent to me after rewatching it. You don't catch it in the beginning, but after you see it for multiple times, it builds up. For example, in the first few minutes, the way that M. Night Shyamalan sets up Mel Gibson character is phenomenal. So we have this scene where you see the swing, you see the field of crops, and you see this window, and we zoom in out of it, and it goes to the family portrait where you see father with his color, you see him, you see his wife, you see both of the kids, and you see the wall where the cross used to be, but it's no longer there. But the silhouette of
You
the
see the
cross
silhouette, yeah.
is still there, and then you see Mel Gibson, and that's kind of already sets up the mood of what's going on. And obviously from there it just lifts off, and it's that feeling of like dreary sensation that you feel throughout the movie, and you cannot, like, you feel for the guy from the first moment. You feel his loss. You see that he lost his faith, and you see that he doesn't he at the end, of course, you see that he believes, but he says himself like, I hate you, and that's towards, obviously the higher being. But the way it sets up for his kids, his son, he still believes. He did not lose that faith, and that's what kind of carries the dilemma between the father and son. And obviously that dilemma, is being portrayed in a lot of different movies on a lot of different genres. But here it's kind of, hey, listen, yes, I am younger, but I believe, and you hate God, but I hate you for that. And that's when Morgan says to Meryl, I wish you were my father. And that's when Joaquin Phoenix is like, don't ever say that, don't ever bring that up. So the family is broken apart. Not only father lost his faith, the son does not respect his father. Bo
is this like a 4-year-old who just doesn't know what's going on,
but she knows to leave the water glasses everywhere. And have every single, and that's the detail how she explains why she leaves it. Oh, this one had the hair, this one is old, this one my brother drank out of it. It's so fun to see that so much detail went into explaining the 4-year-old's decision.
The 4-year-old mentality,
right?
Like, why does a 4-year-old leave glasses all over the place? And then they explain that, and then later in the movie you find out there was a purpose. There was always a purpose for that being there.
And that's the fun part about the script, is that everything which is put together, besides few minor details which we're going to touch on later on, everything connects at the end. Everything weaves. It's like this, the spider web which unravels at the end, and everything connects together and makes for the whole family to join together and overcome this obstacle that they have. And the obstacle in this movie is that the world is being attacked, or the world is being invaded by the alien civilization, who are technically, we don't know what they're for. The main explanation was given to us by the radio broadcast, when they're in the basement and the radio says, hey, listen, I witnessed what these aliens are doing. They took my buddy's family, and they dragged them away. They're not here for the planet, they're here for us. They want to harvest us. So that's the way that M. Night Shyamalan in this movie, he does not point you into the direction of the story or of the plot. He kind of gives you the clues, and those clues are strong enough that you kind of follow through and understand why this is this way. And a lot of people who complain about the movie and their plots, I can come back to them and explain to them what they miss and what the questions they have. One thing which I can make the point about it is when in the beginning of the movie when the dog pees because it smells the predator, so it gets scared, so he pees on the floor, and the kids are like, well, the dog is, I think one dog is Isabel. I don't remember the first dog's name.
Houdini. Houdini and
So,
Isabel are the name of the dogs.
Houdini peed himself, blah, blah, blah. Let's take him to the doctor. And he says, hey, we're going to take him to last name doctor.
Yeah, he goes, he's not an animal doctor.
Right.
Yeah.
So at first you're like, well, whatever, you missed it through. But later on in the movie, you realize when Mel Gibson's character goes to see his wife's killer, the post, the mailbox says veterinarian, so he tried to avoid him, and that's the clue, which is woven really nicely and seamlessly, although that mailbox there sits for a few seconds.
And for those who are thinking like, well, why there's any other veterinarians in the city? Well, let's keep in mind this movie takes place in a small town in Pennsylvania, so most likely that character is the only veterinarian in that small town. And like, you know how the phrase says, small towns close people, because everybody know each other. So that's why Mel Gibson's character is avoiding the veterinarian, because one, he was the cause of him losing his wife because he was the one driving and passed down, hit and kill his wife. And two, he just doesn't want that confrontation again, or that awkwardness of taking the family dog to see the vet that killed it. Like this, like literally destroyed his family in his opinion. Like in his mind, like, you destroyed my family. Right. Like, I gave up faith. I don't believe in anything anymore because of you. So if anybody's wondering, it's like, well, why don't you just take him to another veterinarian? This movie takes place in a small town, Pennsylvania, and it takes place in the small town, Pennsylvania, for a very good reason.
And that reason is being that nothing like this have been done before. Every movie about alien invasion has been on a big scale. And you can look at Independence Day, and that was the apocalypse on a scale. Like, this is what would
everybody was involved.
Yeah, and everything blows up. And you see these alien ships right off the gate, and it's a massive scale, and it's cool to watch from the perspective of the spectator, right? You go into the movie theater and you watch that on a big scale. It's cool, but what would you do as an individual? How would you act if you encounter such a thing? And that's where this movie is taking you. It's taking you to the place where it's one family divided by different reasons, which caused by one specific event. So how do they deal with this encounter? And that's what this movie is about, and that's why I think it's a brilliant piece of work.
Absolutely. Look, one good thing about this movie, the title itself, Signs. Okay, you see the poster when you're walking by the movie theater or you're renting it, and you see the crop circle and one single farm, and all that come to your head. It's like, this is an alien invasion movie automatically, right? But once you watch the movie, that title has a second meaning, and it's signs. It's the different signs that we come across that make us believers. Okay, and this is where one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix are sitting in the living room watching TV, and they have the kids passed out on each other. And Mel Gibson starts asking his brother, say, hey, there's two types of people in the world. People that believe in miracles, that are believers, or people that believe that everything is pure luck and full of coincidence. All right. And he asks his brother, which one are you? And Joaquin Phoenix responds, I believe in miracles.
Yeah, but the way he responds to it is telling an incredible story about how he was at this party and he was about to make out with this fantastic girl, but he had a gun in his mouth. So he took a second to move away and take out the gun and put it on the counter. And in that specific moment, this girl he was about to make out threw up all over herself.
Again, that's the comedic element of that scene, because it's a very serious scene. And as a viewer, you're like, oh shit, this is taking a turn, a very serious turn. And then boom, they insert this line of Joaquin Phoenix saying like, oh yeah, I mean, I believe in miracles because this happened to me at a dance a few years back. So from that point, I was like, I'm lucky. Like that's a miracle. That could have been me.
Right.
And then you laugh about it.
Scarred me for life.
Mm-hmm. But then Joaquin Phoenix responds back, so which one are you? And Mel Gibson just completely changes the subject. Because he doesn't want, at that point, still in the movie, he has no faith. He doesn't believe in anything. He just believes that there's just coincidences in life and everything is pure luck. And this is what I like about this movie, is that this movie, you can easily divide it in 3 acts. And those 3 acts, you just see Mel Gibson's character leading into a believer. First act.
Coming back to the being believer.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was a believer in the beginning. Like you cannot be the father. It's your faith has been tasted, and you kind of stepped away and you said no more, right? And then you go full circle, and that's what we're witnessing.
Yeah, and it's the events of the movie that makes him start believing again. He realizes, like, this is not luck. This is not coincidence.
Right, because the signs, they propel his arc throughout. Every single little thing gets connected at the end. Let's talk about the aliens themselves. The beauty of not seeing an alien for first 90 minutes, I think, is groundbreaking.
Oh, yeah, it just builds up the tension the entire movie. Yeah.
Whatever you don't see, but here scares you a lot more. Like that anticipation and little glimpses. Oh, God. I cannot name another movie from top of my head whoever grabs my desire to kind of know but don't know.
It Follows.
It Follows. Okay, yes, It Follows has that same kind of dreary. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what it is.
We should talk about It Follows later on, probably closer to Halloween. Yeah, because that's another good one. Yeah,
right,
that's another good movie.
But here, at first, you see the shadow figure. Then you see this leg in a crop field. Then you see, which is probably the scariest moment, when the kids' party is happening.
Yeah.
There's a shaky camera, which has probably been taken from the Blair Witch, M.
Night Shyamalan filmed that scene with a camcorder.
Right. I mean, it's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And if you pause that, or if you watch it in the slow motion, you see that the alien is already there. He just camouflaged. He steps out from behind that fence, and oh God,
bro! Like when I saw that movie in theaters, it was a packed theater. I went on opening weekend, packed theater. Everybody's movie theater. Obviously, everybody's silent. You're deep into the movie. You're watching the movie for the first time. You don't know what's gonna happen. They show the scene, and just the music starts to build up, and you see the kids like, "Oh, it's over there! It's over there!" I was like Joaquin Phoenix in that scene, like, "Vámonos, get out! I want to see." And like you're so deep into it, and the moment that alien steps out of the green tree or whatever that was, he's still camouflaged. You see the green, but he pops out. Like the entire movie theater screamed. I screamed. Everybody, and then they rewind it to make it look closer, and they pause it for you to make it like, this is what you did really see. It's wow. That is probably the scariest scene in the entire movie. Yes,
and I will bet all my GameStop shares, which I don't have. I'm not the financial advisor. That scene made J.J. Abrams to create Cloverfield.
Oh.
That one specific scene generated the Cloverfield, and everything would follow after that.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, Cloverfield is just that birthday party multiplied by 90 minutes of footage.
Yeah.
Just saying, just throwing it out there. Because J.J. Abrams, he has the good ideas, but most of them are stolen, and we know it. And that you see that not my only complaint, but my complaint, if they left it there, let's just talk about a few more scary scenes. The hand when Mel Gibson goes to the character who's played by M. Night Shyamalan, the guy who was responsible for the death of his wife.
Yeah.
Ray Reddy is his name.
Yeah.
That's the character who's played by the director himself. He traps an alien in his pantry. All right. He says, well, a lot of people are saying that these guys try to avoid water. You can't build crop circles or the signs near the water or on water. So I'm going to the closest place with water and I'm staying there. And then he leaves. Obviously, there's a dramatic scene between two of them of exchange that he is sorry, he's remorseful, and it's fine and dandy. We get back to that. But when Mel Gibson goes and tries to confront this alien, beautifully shot knife, putting
the reflection,
the chopped vegetables, and you move the camera to the knife. It's these little things that just make me appreciate the thought which made director to choose this specific angle, to make this specific cut and edit it the way he did. It's a pure chemistry to me.
I got a fun fact for you since you're talking about like photography and that particular scene.
Yes, sir.
So the cinematographer in this movie, his name is Tak Fujimoto. Okay.
Yeah.
He has worked with M. Night Shyamalan in most of his projects, but one of his most noticeable work, Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
Okay. Phil, actually, no, he was an actor in that one. I'm looking it up real quick. I know Silence of the Lamp.
Which is just the creepiest thing you ever can see in your life. That movie does not have a glimpse of sun at all. But
Silence of the Lambs is one of his most memorable. Obviously, Sixth Sense because he's worked with M. Night Shyamalan. Manchurian Candidate as well, and he worked on Devil, and that's probably his most noticeable work. He's done a lot of other TV shows. They did That Thing You Do with Tom Hanks. He also worked he was the second unit photography for Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope.
You could have skipped that one. Just saying.
Shut your face.
Anyway, and in this particular instance, Mel Gibson grabs the knife and tries to push it underneath the door to the pantry to see what's happening out there. In this scene, they used the prop hand that was not CGI, that was a prop, which was pushed forward, and another just the scare, the jump screen, and he chops off a few fingers. And a lot of people complain, at least in what I've seen, about this alien being trapped in a pantry. Well, why can't such an advanced race break out? First, though, you got to realize, and it's explained in the movie, that these first infantry on the ground are just, again, first infantry. They are out there to kind of find out.
Yeah,
right, they
scouters.
are scouts. They are front line. They are people who are okay to push on the front lines. They're expendable. They're probably not the brightest of the bunch. If you chose, or if you got to be on the front lines, no matter which race, no matter if it's an alien invasion, just logically thinking, those guys are not the brightest of the bunch. All right. So first of all, he's there alone. I guess he got lost. He did not follow the signs, so he got trapped. He's panicking. He tries to get out. He gets his fingers cut off, right? I mean, it's not like to them that they know how to move the doorknobs. Obviously, they will learn, but you have to think from the perspective, like, these guys probably don't have doors, or if they do, it probably opens up automatically. So it will take him some time to get out of this freaking room, right? He's scared, he's panicking, and now plus he's hurt. And it's proven that he finally gets out at the end, because that's the whole eclipse, the whole final act is surrounded by this guy coming back to Mel Gibson's house. And till this day, I still say that he did not follow and try to get the revenge. He was keep getting lost, and he kept following in some direction, and he probably heard some noises because in the previous night, his buddies were trying to attack Mel Gibson and his family, right? So he steps in, he petrified. He grabs the Morgan, and he tries to poison him again. In my opinion, in self-defense, and he fucks that up too. Like, this alien is just a miserable screw up. He screws up every single mission he was on. No, but
he does. Yeah.
Think about it. He can't even succeed of eliminating the smoke head. Luckily for him, he has asthma, so the poison does not go into his lungs. And then
he fucked up.
Right, and then he gets beaten by death and tortured by water spilling all over his body. He dies in agony. Like, this dude, we have to look at him from the perspective of the aliens. Whatever they try to do, kidnap, survive. I mean, we're a horrible race, and I'm gonna say it out loud. When it comes down to survival, we'll do some crazy shit to survive, right? And don't try to like tell me that you wouldn't. So probably these guys.
I'm not gonna disagree with you.
These guys came to our planet. If they tried to harvest us, they don't know us. They don't know who they are. It's the same thing like to us ants. If I need to go and eat up the ant to survive, like I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it out loud. I'm gonna do it. Jesus Christ, we eating animals for breakfast, dinner, and lunch.
Mm-hmm.
To us, it's nothing. So when we judge these aliens for trying to abduct us for whatever reason, maybe food, like who knows? It does not explain, and I don't need an explanation. Right, but in reality, this guy fucks up big time, like on any level, and I can walk you through that. But you can see it in itself. My biggest complaint about this whole thing is that the CGI alien, did not age well. He was.
We got some technical difficulties going on.
First go. I was
Yeah, you froze. So
as soon as I say something bad, you see, this is how it goes. As soon as I say something out of extraordinary, your internet connection is unstable. Thanks, big corporations already got their ear to the microphone already. I'm sorry. I'll go back to my small world, and I'm not gonna challenge.
Big Brother's listening, so you're talking too much.
Of course. All right. Maybe it's an accent. Maybe it's a keyword that I put together, and then boom.
For you, Signs is a movie. For them, it's a documentary.
Exactly. We beat them with water.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest complaint, I guess, at this point. That alien, not that he did not look realistic, we don't know, but for the build up that they did, for all the scares that they made us to believe, it just felt like,
I'm pretty sure they ran out of budget, and that's why the alien came out like that.
On $72 million budget, they run out of the money.
Keep in mind, they had Mel Gibson starring in this movie, and that time he was still
yes, Mel Gibson needed to get all the money that he could to make Passion of the Christ.
To make Passion of the Christ.
Right, because nobody wanted to take on that adventure. Yep. Look how that turned out to be. But do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your take on the whole alien coming through? I think that. Like a lot of scenes
from a perspective of the movie, or or for personally.
Take it away. Take it. I gave you my kind of 2 cents of what happened and why it happened.
Do you believe in aliens?
All right. So, I believe that there's life somewhere out there. The galaxy, the universe, the cosmos is way too big of the space to waste if you don't want to put other life out there. I don't care how it was created. If it's created by a
Big Bang, just
no, I mean, if it was created by Big Bang, then mathematically speaking, the probability of life forms existing in one way or another is way greater than non-existent. So that's my belief, that there's somewhere out there, there's something resembling life as we define life, right? Again, you can talk about this for days.
I mean,
what is life?
Just curious. I mean, I believe.
Do you believe that the tree is life? Do you believe that the grass outside is life?
Yeah. Anything that. Yeah.
Anything that what? You see, now we started to define what life is. We're going way deeper than what need to be. But sure.
Look, let's keep it to aliens for now.
All right.
I believe in aliens. Okay.
Okay.
I believe that there is life out there. We are not the only ones in this, like you said, in this massive galaxy we're the only ones with life. No, there's some sort of life out there.
Okay.
Personal experience, I have seen things in the sky that I cannot explain, and that makes even my beliefs stronger. But
are you one of those?
Huh?
Are you one of those?
I've seen stuff in the sky that, to this day, if I tell you, you won't believe it. So
I won't.
Yeah, so that's why I keep it to myself.
Good.
Yeah.
If you guys want to find out that Ruben saw, please have 10 likes and 20 subscriptions.
Ask in the comments, and I'll let you know what I saw. But from the perspective, look, I really enjoyed this movie. It was fun watching it. It was years since I watched it. Like I said, I saw it in theaters when it came out opening weekend. I went with a group of friends from school. It was one of those like Friday night outings when you're like in 8th grade or 9th grade, and all you can do on the weekends besides play sports is hang out with your friends in movie theater. That was me.
Nothing wrong with that picture?
Movie. Huh?
Nothing wrong with that picture.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. And I never got so deep into it until later on as I grew. For then, I just saw it as a movie. But the more times I saw it, I started to understand like the signs and the meanings behind it. Everything in this movie I enjoy, even how it's like filmed, like the scenes and the shots of it. Like there's a lot of like close-up shots in this movie. The scenes, and like most scenes are symmetrical. Like you always see Mel Gibson in the middle of the frame, and everything else around him is symmetrical. It's like it's a even in proportion on certain scenes, and I really enjoy that. I know I think it adds on to the. It feels like I'm watching an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
I'm pretty sure that was expired.
And I think that's M. Night Shyamalan's
like
purpose. You know, this movie is very Hitchcockian. And
right.
as same as it was Sixth Sense. And if you watch Alfred Hitchcock movies, he was very symmetrical in his scenes. His scenes had to be shot in a certain way because he wanted the audience to make sure that he was focused on the character and not on any distractions off mark, right? And I think that's what this movie achieves. And besides that, I mean, M. Night Shyamalan automatically makes an homage to Alfred Hitchcock by him starring as a minor character in all of his movies. You know,
is he in Sixth Sense?
Yeah, he plays the doctor. He plays the kid's doctor.
Oh, okay.
In the hospital.
Where is he in Unbreakable?
He is. Isn't he the janitor that he comes across in the stadium?
I mean, I'm asking. I don't remember.
Yeah,
like,
I think he is the guy that he stumbles upon the stadium. I think he's carrying like a gun or something.
Okay, so in Village, he is the guy who is driving the car.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
Yeah.
Well, and then he went crazy. In Lady in the Water, he decided to take on the godlike role of the Messiah who's gonna save. Oh yes.
Yeah. The Happening. I don't remember what role he has in The Happening, but he's in it.
I think we only watched that movie.
I saw that movie once, and that was
erased that from the memory of
like
to be able to
like the worst movie I've seen with Mark
right?
Wahlberg in it.
Right.
But yeah, he stars in all his movies. I mean, he was in Split. He played the guy with eating the chicken wings when he's talking to the psychiatrist, and they're trying to explore James McAvoy's character. I don't think he was in Glass. Or maybe he was, and I just have to watch it again. But either way, he plays tribute to Alfred Hitchcock. So Alfred Hitchcock has played a big influence in his movies. So it's just the meanings of this movie that I just enjoy. You know, it's more than an alien invasion movie. It's a movie about, you know, how humanity can lose faith and certain events can help you believe again, regain your faith, you know?
I'm gonna correct you there. Not humanity, just one person.
Jesus fucking Christ, man.
don't that's blasphemy. That's blasphemy.
Said the guy that doesn't believe in anything.
Hey, but like if you gotta cover the both positions, okay? You gotta. You don't. If you don't believe, still don't push the envelope.
I let you talk on your perspective. Now you're cutting me off.
I'm not cutting you.
I'm gonna kick you off the stand podcast.
You're just wrong. Like, I mean, you're bluntly wrong.
I'm not wrong. This is my opinion.
Anyway, but I'm gonna throw two things out there. Speaking about Hitchcock, one thing, like obviously the birds and
which M. Night Shyamalan made people, all his cast watch the birds while he was filming this movie. Yeah, it's actually one of the trivia facts that I found on IMDb. He would make all the cast and crew watch the birds daily while they were filming, because he wanted them to understand what he was trying to achieve with this movie.
Well, if we're talking trivia, one more fact is that the movie started shooting on September 12th in 2001.
Yeah.
So that was one day after
the attacks on 9/11. Yeah.
So they made the visual, and they all obviously had that moment, which was photographed. Mel Gibson did his scene with his dying wife that day, which obviously you can see the impact, you can see the pain, and that's real pain. And then M. Night Shyamalan had a picture of that visual and a picture of his grandfather who passed away, during the shooting of the film. And he had those two pictures in his pockets when they're doing the scene of him leaving his house and going for the water escape, when they had a contradiction with Mel Gibson. So it was a lot of real life events happening during the shooting of this film, and that, I mean, it just makes the characters, I don't want to say more believable, but their emotions are real. Like Mel Gibson and his emotions in here, I can only personally, and don't get me wrong, but I can only have Braveheart performance in the same category with Signs. And if you ask me which one was better, I honestly I can't deliver that to you. I think in Signs he was very charismatic in the aspect of portraying pain and loss of faith in the beginning of it.
It probably felt close to, like, more grounded, more real to him, because he comes from being a family man.
Right.
Mel Gibson's known to having to have like 7 or 8 kids, so it probably felt more grounded. Versus Braveheart, you're portraying an historical figure, and you already know how that historical figure died or passed away. So, yeah, I can see that, what you're referring to.
And last kind of known fact about, you just mentioned kids. The story with Mel Gibson character Graham Hess tells his kids is actually the real story of M. Night Shyamalan kids. The birth stories. Yep. So those are real facts described out there. So a lot of personal stuff which was shared out there, I think, just makes the movie, when you look behind the scenes, it just adds that flavor to it. It just adds more layers and more appreciation when you rewatch it. And all those questions which people attack this movie with, they don't just make sense. It's just kids complaining about stupid things, to me. And if you're one of those kids and you complain about this movie, right there, I just called you out. You want to complain about it? There's a comment section below.
Yeah, go back to watching Transformers and all the other crap you watch.
Right, leave the real movies to us.
Thank you for making it through the entire podcast, but now this is your time to hit stop. Okay, we gathered the view and go back to watch Transformer, because this movie's not for you.
We just started the hate train. We just started the hate train.
Make sure to put a like on there and subscribe.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and I'm pretty sure the people who hate this movie and have those questions, they're never gonna get past this moment.
I'm pretty sure the people that hate this movie probably like Avatar, Airbender, and Lady in the Water.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the brilliance of this masterpiece. In my world, it is a masterpiece. The movie that I can rewatch over and over and see and discover little different things which add to the overall experience. It's always pleasure. It's just fun for me.
I
And
agree. I think this is probably the one M. Night Shyamalan movie that I can just rewatch.
like, I can't rewatch Sixth Sense.
Me neither. If I see it once, like every 3 years, that's it for me. Yeah. But the other one, Unbreakable, I can rewatch
Unbreakable. I can watch
multiple times.
And Unbreakable, to me at least, opened up the eyes to the comic books from different perspective. It was. I mean, I don't want to say it out loud, but I think if it wasn't for Unbreakable, Nolan would never took comic book as a genre seriously and never would made Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises.
I can see that.
I mean, I'm just saying it never was out there, but it's, if you look at that movie and you look at them, there's a lot of similarities. How you take a comic book genre.
Unbreakable came out in 2000, so that was about 2001. So it came out a year after X-Men, which was the first blockbuster comic book movie. Was it 2001 or is that 2000?
I'm trying to figure this out.
I think it came out the same year as X-Men.
2000. All right.
Gotcha.
You win. So it's like 4-0. You win. If
Thank God for Wikipedia.
Right.
But yeah, like, I think it's just Unbreakable, like, being released the same year as X-Men, which was basically the first comic book movie that launched the whole summer blockbuster genre for that, because after X-Men, years later, had Spider-Man, and Spider-Man became a huge boom for the comic book genre. But I think, like, having Unbreakable, which is another great M. Night Shyamalan movie, be like the more grounded, like you say. Like, I can see where Nolan gets the influence to make a grounded, more real comic book movie.
The Unbreakable is not based on any comic book.
Yeah,
those characters are created by M. Night Shyamalan himself.
Mm-hmm. They're just normal human beings. That formula
transported into the Nolan's DC Gotham universe. I mean, that was just epic, and we're obviously going to talk about that at some point.
Yeah, well, eventually.
But the two movies you mentioned, X-Men and Spider-Man, I see how they generated this pop culture phenomenon. But obviously, if we want to start with comic book theme, we have to start with Iron Man, because that's the movie which...
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man introduced to what we now know as the cinematic universe, and that obviously eventually we'll discuss, we'll talk about Iron Man in the podcast and explore like the impact that movie had, because it had a huge impact. It changed the movie industry drastically, and we'll discuss that in another podcast.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you with Iron Man.
Just one more thing on kind of with jumping subjects, but I will never forget myself rewatching this that I did not mention it. Another scary thing in the Signs is the scene in the basement when they lock the door and they're like, "Oh, these guys are not trying to get in because they're banging on the door and trying to get the voice, distracting us from." And then they like, "There has to be the coal chute in here, so we need to find it. Do you hear the air?" And they turn their flashlight, and Rory Culkin standing there, and you see this hand move. That
was another
flashlight drops, and that you don't know what's happening, and that intense, like, it's just grabs you. And that's what makes this movie so special.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that
look? This movie is so special and so impactful that it was the main plot in Scary Movie 3.
Did not see any of those, but
okay. Well, Scary Movie 3. No, obviously it's a parody movie. They make fun, but like, just think about it. Like, the only reason they will make fun of this movie is because of the impact it had.
So let me get this right. So they dedicated the entire movie just to
the main plot of the movie,
jokes of this one. So use everything that worked for this movie and transport.
Yeah, I mean, there's elements of like The Ring and The Matrix in the movie, but Charlie Sheen's character in Scary Movie 3 is a parody on Mel Gibson's character. You have comedian Simon Rex playing the character of Joaquin Phoenix, and they all live in a barn, and they find out crop circles and everything. Like, the whole crop circles alien invasion thing, that's the main theme in the Scary Movie 3 plot.
Wow.
So that's how
I learned
impactful
something
this
new
movie.
today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruben.
I'm
More
not
useless
asking you to watch Scary
information.
Movie 3, but if you go to YouTube and find certain scenes, you'll find them.
Right. Well, if you guys want to do that, you tell me how it went for you.
I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody has seen Scary Movie 3 before they saw Signs, because then they probably were like, where's this coming from? Same way Scary Movie 1, when they went launched, they made fun of Scream. It was the main plot, and a lot of people didn't know what that was about. Right?
Well, speaking about plots, we cannot not mention that the actual circles, crop circles, were the phenomenon which was unexplained for many years from 1970 when it rose to late 90s. It was something that popped out everywhere. It was thousands of locations, and in the middle in the beginning of 1990s, I believe it was discovered in England. There are two dudes who were just doing this in their spare time, and they used like boards and just rope, and nobody believed them that it was, because a lot of scientists were like, well, this is mathematically impossible to recreate with any machinery on the planet, and these dudes are like, no, let us show you how it's done. So, and for the long period, even when I was very young child, I saw a documentary about this, and I was told like extraterrestrials were responsible for this. It was a lot of shows back in USSR, post USSR, when they had to fill up the air with something. So that was one of the myths. So when I saw this Signs,
the hour of Rocky IV wasn't enough.
Rocky IV, sir, lasts for exactly 15 minutes in Russia. We just see the Apollo Creed fell, and the rest of the movie is cut off from any of the VHS releases. Okay, the Rocky IV is a 15-hour documentary in Russia. So yeah, that is, the movie is based on the real phenomenon, and it was actually the real crop circles, which usually were in the wheat fields because it's a lot easier to do it. But to M. Night Shyamalan, the wheat fields did not represent enough of that scare design. It did not made the same noise. Obviously, it did not made the same kind of scenery, and they not as like stacked together and not as tall. So using the cornfields were a lot better for the production design, for the outcome of the movie. I guess we're running out of gas on this one, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think this was fun. All right, so next week we will be discussing,
drum roll,
Luc Besson's Léon the Professional, starring Jean Reno and Natalie Portman and
Gary Oldman.
All right, so we're gonna explore that masterpiece of a film from 1994.
You see, I like your style. You're sticking with the traditions. You're not breaking the character. We're not going to the new and well-known.
No, we'll talk about new movies eventually, but I want people to explore these old movies that have an impact that so many other movies now have an influence on. Right. And one of those are Léon the Professional, also known in the United States as The Professional. Right, French-American film directed by Luc Besson, who went on to direct The Fifth Element, Lucy.
Who's responsible for Taken? Okay, guys. Taken. If you like Taken, we'll tell you how you got there.
Yeah, so that will be next week's MovieByte, The Professional, starring Jean Reno and Natalie Portman with Gary Oldman, 1994. So you are now know which one we'll be talking about, so you can go ahead and watch it, rent it, buy it. I would recommend buy it because it's worth having in your collection. It's actually in our top 100 movies watch list poster, so we'll get to scratch that one up.
Right. Okay. Get the director's cut, because
director's cut is the best version of the film. But yeah, we'll be discussing and analyzing that movie next week. So I am Ruben. With me, the Russian. Thank you all for tuning in. And
thank you guys for watching.
Appetizing film Signs. So this is MovieByte, the podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you all. Bye-bye.